Hello, and welcome to the Our Prenup Lawyer podcast, where you and I get to learn more about prenups as I interview professionals from the fields of family law, couples counseling, and wealth management. I'm your host, Libby Garabedian. Let's get started. The information provided in this podcast is prepared by Our Prenup Lawyer for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. The information is not intended to create an attorney-client relationship. This is not legal advice or a substitute for obtaining legal advice from an attorney. A person listening or watching should not rely upon it in any manner without engaging professional counsel. The podcast is intended to communicate general information and, because recorded, may not be current. On this episode of Our Prenup Lawyer, we have Thea Moreau. Thea is a divorce coach who specializes in guiding individuals through both the practical and emotional challenges of divorce with clarity, connection, and collaboration. Her goal is to help people emerge from divorce, not just with practical solutions, but with emotional resilience and renewed confidence. Welcome, Thea. Thank you for being on the episode.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Of course. Let's jump right in and tell me about your role as a divorce coach.
Well, basically, a divorce coach is somebody that helps people experiencing separation or divorce go through it step by step. So we provide information to reduce overwhelm and fear. Um, we help with emotional processing. We help people with the procedural side. We don't provide legal guidance or therapy, but we do kind of blend in with those aspects as well. So in a nutshell, that's what a divorce coach does.
Oh, you mentioned, you aren't providing the legal aspect in any way, but how is divorce coaching different from working with a lawyer or a therapist?
Well, like I said, we don't provide legal advice. That's for the legal professionals. We do help find legal professionals and we do give information like about the legal processes. But like I said, there's no advice giving. We never tell people what to do. Um, how is it different from therapy? We do help with emotional processing, but we don't give diagnoses and we don't recommend medications. So we're not psychotherapy, we're not psychiatrists. Some divorce coaches are trained in therapy, but most divorce coaches are not.
What does the duration of your involvement look like from client to client?
Typically, we walk alongside them through the process from beginning to end. Um, Getting support early often helps reduce conflict, reduce the amount of time it takes through the divorce, and also can reduce costs. So, um, engaging with someone early in the process is usually the best sort of will give you the best outcome. But there we can be involved in any stage of the process. So if somebody is already in a divorce and is kind of lost and doesn't know what to do, they can still always reach out to a divorce coach. And some people we even help after the fact, moving on after divorce, building a new life, that sort of thing. So any
Excellent.
any part of the process.
Yeah, really meeting them where they need you most, right?
Yes, exactly.
So how did you get started in this work?
Well, to be quite honest, I went through a divorce myself and I felt lost through the entire process. Um, it was quite contentious at the outset. We both immediately jumped into hiring lawyers, which is what a lot of people do because everyone thinks getting divorced, hire a lawyer. Um, so that's what we both did. The conflict amped up. It took a long time. In my world, I didn't have anybody that was going through divorce or had been through a divorce, except for, older aunts and whatnot. But nobody that had currently or recently gone through divorce. And I really felt the gaps between understanding what was going on. I was just following what my lawyer said. There was a lot of decisions happening that I really didn't feel prepared to make.
Mhm.
And the emotional part for sure was definitely lacking. I mean, I think my poor lawyer, he was great, but I called the guy with a lot of things that were really outside of his wheelhouse. I was dumping on him emotionally at, $500 plus an hour. And it could have gone much different, I think. So really that's what my work has been based on, knowing that there's all these gaps in the process, from start to finish, really, and helping people be the person that I needed when I was going through my own divorce. Having said that, it's not all based on my experience. I've taken a lot of training in order to get to this point. So I'm well versed in what needs to happen and what happens frequently in divorce.
Right. You really didn't know what you didn't know when you were going through the
I didn't know what
process.
I didn't know, and after going through what I did and starting to hear stories from other people who went through divorce after me, um, I thought there just has to be a better way. And I Googled it, and divorce coach is a thing. So I was like, yep, this is me. This is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and so having a divorce coach, right, it really helps you, avoid mistakes or avoid taking wrong turns that could lead to some long-term consequences of confusion or anything else.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion in divorce, I find. People arrive overwhelmed, afraid, and just not knowing what to do and not knowing who to trust. And um, support really, really helps with all of that because structure replaces panic, strategy reduces fear, and clarity creates calm. And when you have support, you can get all of those things. And it really helps with conflict mitigation for sure.
I love those sentiments, especially clarity creates calm. I think
Clarity
it's such
does
an
create calm. It
yeah,
really does.
such an overwhelming process. Now, can you tell me what the Smart Start plan is?
So the Smart Start plan is something that I develop for my clients. It helps people get prepared from the very beginning. Um, it helps people slow down so that they can think about things like their goals. I can help them with strategy. There's 5 steps to it, as is in the title, 5 step Smart Start Plan. The first is emotional regulation because you can't make clear decisions from a flooded nervous system. And making decisions based in fear usually creates regret. The second part is understanding your goals so you can actually set goals in divorce. It doesn't have to be just someone telling you what to do step by step. And then creating something I call your best self, which is sort of how you want to show up through the process. And so you can anchor to those things throughout your entire divorce. And it again, mitigates conflict and helps keep everything clear and remind you why you're making the decisions you're making instead of getting bogged down in the fight. Um, I also help people understand the process, like the legal processes that are available, because there's more than just litigation. People don't have to go to court. And I really am a strong believer in something called alternative dispute resolution, because again, it helps things go way faster. It costs less, and the time spent is much faster. Um, so yeah, and then I also help with things like breaking the news to your spouse, breaking the news to your kids, and all of that is involved in the Smart Start plan.
You're really seeing, especially breaking the news to your spouse or your children, you're really seeing what other people might not notice in the divorce plan, right?
People don't think about these things, right? They're just, like I said, they're overwhelmed by emotion. They don't know what to do. So someone walking them through step by step is really helpful. I wish I had that during my divorce for sure.
Right. Now, what do you think some people are doing wrong in their divorces? Whether it's immediately saying, I need to litigate, I need to go at it this way, or just charging in and not thinking about anything else.
Well, a combination of both of those things. Not, yeah, charging in and gearing up for a fight, hiring a shark lawyer. Those aren't always the best strategies out of the gate. And it really does, again, in divorce, everything comes down to conflict. I mean, conflict, you can't escape conflict in divorce. It's just part of it, all divorces. But when you go into it looking for a fight, that's what you're going to get. Whereas if you go in with some goals and understanding things a little bit more and understanding the long-term implications that these things are going to have on your divorce and then the decisions you're making for the rest of your life, especially for your kids, it's really, really powerful if you just slow down in the beginning stages.
But that you're really preparing for what's to come. You're not rushing in, you're not skipping over things.
Exactly. Exactly. And it doesn't have to be done all at once. I mean, even though it feels like there's a lot of pressure to make decision after decision really quickly, it does not have to be like that. Slowing it down in the beginning helps it actually resolve quicker,
Hmm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. Now, I hear you're a part of the DCAO. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, the DCAO is this really cool new organization. It stands for Divorce Coaches Association of Ontario. And basically, it exists because so far divorce coaching isn't regulated. It's a newer profession. It's been around 10 years or so, maybe a little longer. You're a little bit ahead of us in the US versus Canada. It's really starting to pick up here too. And like I said, it's not regulated. So somebody can take a weekend course, call themselves a divorce coach, but not have full training or ethical
Mhm.
standards or anything like that. So the DCAO exists to give divorce coaches accreditation. So you know that it's past standards and regulations. And they're fully trained, they're professional. Um, DCAO really is a collection. It's not just divorce coaches, it's anybody from the industry. So it's divorce coaches, lawyers, mediators, all of that wrapped into one organization. And particularly for new divorce coaches, it's really great because they're all about education, networking events. It's really great for building a new practice.
That's really great that there is this organization because it's ensuring the quality of the professionals that are on the
Um,
market, yeah, that are helping people. Right.
yeah.
Now, what is one thing you want listeners to remember, whether it's the Smart Start plan or just anything they should know?
Um, I would say easy does it. In the beginning stages, I've already mentioned this. The Smart Start plan is all about that, but really slowing it down in the beginning and getting your ducks in a row before charging in fighting. It's really gonna give you um, an upside in terms of strategy, and help reduce conflict with your ex. I mean, especially if you're a parent, you're gonna have to co-parent with this person going forward, right? So
Mhm.
getting through divorce with the least amount of contention as possible is a really good goal.
Right. Now, obviously, divorce, like you said, if you're going to have to co-parent with someone in the future, divorce extends beyond just the
Yeah.
finalization. So, how can someone be their own best advocate during and after divorce?
Um, oh, there's so many things that would answer that question because there's so many things that go into it, right? Um, Being their best advocate, really picking your goals and how you want to show up, and then anchoring to that and making your decisions based on those things versus what you think is fair. Um, because fair is so subjective. Everybody has an opinion on what fair is. Your spouse will have one, you will have one. But really anchoring in on how you want to show up will, um, sorry.
That's all right.
Anchoring on how you want to show up and your goals throughout the divorce is really going to have long-term impacts on the outcome, and especially if you have kids, protecting your kids. Because we know from studies that kids that are shielded from parental conflict during divorce come out better than those who aren't. So the conflict mitigation part is a very, very key part, especially if you have kids.
I think that's some great insight. And I like how you brought up, what's fair is subjective and it's going to
It
change.
really is. Yeah. Yeah. And like not only to you and your spouse, but to this lawyer and that lawyer, it'll be different as well.
Exactly. Now, as we wrap up, how can
Mhm.
listeners reach you if they're interested in connecting?
I am on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I have my own website called theamoreau.com. I have something for your listeners. If they reach out and let me know that they heard me on your podcast, they'll get my 8 ways to keep your divorce out of court package. It's a chart with all the various processes, including the pros and cons to each process, as well as a recorded webinar with me going through all of them. And yeah, normally that's a $47 package, but I'll give it to your listeners for free.
That's amazing. Thank you. We will definitely have all your information in the show notes. And I hope listeners stay until the end so they can get that great deal. Well, it was so great having you. And thank you so much for sharing all of your insight, Taya. Of
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
course. That's our show, folks. Thank you for listening to our Prenup Lawyer. Make sure to like and subscribe, and feel free to drop a comment below. Follow us on Instagram at Our Prenup Lawyer, and listen to us on Spotify, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and watch us on YouTube. See you guys next time.